Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we look at what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now, despite the West's collective reluctance to face reality and its repeated assertions that we cannot let Russia win in the Ukraine, the rest of the world has already witnessed a fundamental transformation in global affairs. The old order is rapidly disintegrating and a new one is emerging before our very eyes. The US, G7, EU is a thing of the past and the BRICS group is the future, and every country outside of the US's vassal circle knows this. From Africa, Asia, Central and Latin America, the people have seen that the world has changed and it's changing for the better. The old world order dominated by the US is over and it just needs to realise that. Also, it's only a matter of time before the guns in the Ukraine fall silent. And the leaders of the new world are already shaping the contours of the future of the world order themselves. Those who continue to cling to the past and don't actually recognise that the world is changing rapidly are only going to end up on the periphery, and they'll have no place at the table when the real decisions are being made. Now, according to official sources, the newly re-elected Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is planning to visit Russia starting on July the 8th. In the East, symbols hold great importance, and it's no coincidence that Modi will visit Moscow for his first foreign trip after his recent re-election. Now, this trip is important for many reasons. Firstly, Modi's visit to Moscow is an eloquent signal to the West that Russia's international isolation can only be dreamed of in the deluded West, and that the largest Eurasian countries can and will build their relationship without regard to the opinions and objections of the US and its vassals in the EU, the UK and the other members of the G7. Plus, it also emphasised that the BRICS as an organisation is growing more powerful as the leaders of its member countries ignore the pleas of the US, EU and continue to focus on important matters and not on the US's spiteful proxy war on Russia and the sanctions they've imposed. It's also interesting to note the contrast between India's stated intention to continue to develop its cooperation with Russia and the way that the Western media's portrayal of Modi and his party has started. It's as an authoritarian, citing ethno-religious hatred and using this as an instrument to dominate India's politics. As usual, the Western media demonises anybody who goes against their wishes, and it was only last year on a visit to Washington that Modi was portrayed as an honoured guest and a partner of the US, and now he's being pilloried by them and their vassals in the press. Secondly, the relationship between Russia and India has demonstrated its resilience in the face of the recent challenges and now presents real opportunities to advance it to a new strategic level. India is one of the world's most powerful economies and the most populated country on the planet. Russia, since the days of the Soviet Union, has for many decades enjoyed friendly relations with India, and no conflicts or friction have taken place between them. Last year, Moscow became Delhi's fourth largest trading partner with a significant increase in mutual trade turnover from 37 billion to 65 billion. This really was a historic breakthrough. This level of trade is only going to continue to grow as Russia focuses on Asia, the Middle East, Africa and Latin America. India, meanwhile, benefits greatly from the cheap commodities supplied by Russia to refine them and then sell them to the countries of the EU and others at a large markup. These are the same commodities the EU decided they didn't want to buy from Russia, but they buy from India and at a crazy markup. Now, the meeting in Moscow of Putin and Modi provides an excellent opportunity for the leaders of Russia and India to personally coordinate their activities to eliminate existing bottlenecks and agree on a new roadmap that goes far beyond the borders of the two countries. This roadmap will cover all of Eurasia. In particular, it's necessary to even put out the trade imbalance. Currently, India imports from Russia several times more than it exports in the opposite direction. It needs to outline new areas of military technical cooperation, but most importantly, to agree on the new large projects on which the future of the entire Eurasian continent depends. India, which is becoming a significant exporter, as I mentioned, of hydrocarbons to the West following the start of the military operation in Ukraine, is currently experiencing a period of optimism due to this opening of the market opportunities. I mean, according to representatives of Indian industry, the Indian fuel and energy sector has benefited to the tune of some 25 billion since the start of the situation in the Ukraine. And this additional revenue has been welcomed by the Indian government, as you can imagine, which has reacted with righteous indignation to the harsh demands of Washington and Brussels to curtail its energy cooperation with Russia. Plus, India and Russia have been working together in the field of military technical cooperation for many years. I mean, Indian officials have stated that India's reliance on access to Russia's high-tech weapons is structural and will continue in the long term. I mean, against this background, India's direct purchases of modern military equipment for Russia, also its licensing of the production of Russian weapons on its own soil, as well as a synchronization between the armed forces of the two countries, are successfully growing. I mean, for example, the Russian government recently approved a draft agreement that was negotiated before with the Indians government to facilitate an agreement that allows the procedure for exchange visits of military groups, warships and military aircraft of Russia to India, and the military warships, aircraft, etc. from India to Russia. Now, the important thing is it also specifies the organisation of their mutual material and technical support. And also, as part of the new agreement, the parties will also send troops to each other's territories to participate in exercises, humanitarian missions and other joint projects, as well as the ability to use each other's military bases. Now, this agreement opens the way for India to access the Arctic, while also enhancing Russia's military logistics capabilities in the southern oceans and seas. Now, India-Russia cooperation is developing dynamically and also in a number of other areas, and that includes nuclear energy, mechanical engineering, pharmaceuticals, chemistry and other fields. However, the planning horizon for the leaders of these two serious cultures extends beyond the lifespan of just commercial and political contact. This week it was announced about the projected route of the first two trains transporting coal along the international north-south transport corridor. These trains are going to start from the Russian Kemerovo region and proceed through Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan and Iran on their way to Mumbai in India. Now, this marks the beginning of a new phase in the operation of the north-south transportation corridor, which is of strategic importance for the entire Eurasian continent. I mean, the transportation corridor is multimodal and it connects the railway network, roads and seaports. Now, Indian experts have indicated that the new route could have a transformative effect on India's international trade. I mean, the Russia-India corridor provides India with a convenient and inexpensive transport route of access to Central Asian countries, as well as onto the Baltic states and then Scandinavia. I mean, the Indian side views this transport corridor as a significant and strategic asset for the country. Russia gains another reliable and profitable route also for its supplies to Asia, and it's independent of Western influence. I mean, for example, the north-south corridor is 25 days versus 45 days for cargo through the Suez Canal, and the cost is about 30% less. Plus, all the countries involved in the project, either directly or indirectly, are not only benefiting from it, but they're also taking another step towards building a unified and independent economic and political space across the Eurasian continent. In other words, from a historical perspective, this India-Russia project could and should become one of the key elements in the construction of a new economic, energy, political, security system, plus the independent configuration for all of Eurasia. Now that represents a further challenge to the US-centric hegemony, as highlighted by the latest statements of Vladimr Putin. At a recent meeting with the Russian Foreign Ministry, the Russian leader stated it was time to initiate a comprehensive discussion on the bilateral and multilateral guarantees of security in Asia. I mean, this system is open to all countries on the continent, including NATO members. The two conditions are as follows. All mutual movements must exclude interference from outsiders, read the United States. And if Europe wants to maintain itself as one of the independent centres of development, it needs to be work in a good relationship with Russia, which is crucial for what's going on in Asia. Please clarify your desired outcome, India, China and the other Eurasian partners of Russia have said. And they've made their choice already and are starting to receive the significant financial benefits. Those like the EU who haven't made a decision must do so without delay, as there may not be sufficient resources left to accommodate everybody. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you've enjoyed this video, you can help me fund the channel and my website, SCOBRICS.com, by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen. Thank you, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you. Goodbye.